Well, I have some good news, some of the first good news we've had in a very long time, politically speaking. And you know those town halls Republicans have been having around the country for the last couple of weeks, where the voters have gone in and yelled at them and booed them and jeered them? It's having an effect, and I knew it would. And it will have an effect if it continues. It'll have a much deeper effect. But I know some of you were saying, oh, he's overly optimistic. That'll never happen. It's happening already. I'm going to show you video evidence in just a couple of minutes that it's already happening. It's having an effect. A congressman has moved slightly away from the president because of it. He's a hardcore MAGA man from Georgia, and you're going to see him in an interview in just a minute, moving away from the president, very subtly, but it's happening. So, this whole MAGA movement, obviously, it's attached to the president. And when presidents win elections, everyone in their party tends to fall in line and back the man, especially if he continues to be popular. The odd thing about this president is Republicans don't care if he's popular nationally with everyone. They only care that he's popular with Republicans. So everyone has backed him because he's the winner, the big winner, and the surprise winner this last time. So even more excitement there. But the bottom line is Republicans in Congress know that their voters support this president 1,000%. And if they're not on board with that, then they're going to lose votes and they'll lose primaries and maybe even elections in certain states. So they know they have to stand behind the president 1,000%. But now I've always said, I actually said this during his first term, if they would just let him be him, let the disaster come, people will see what a awful, absolute disaster he's going to make of the country, and that he will never, ever be able to run for office again. He'll be run out of town on a rail. But that didn't happen. He had good people who said, look, it's better we protect the country than, let it be destroyed. And they stopped him on a lot of things. And now, of course, all those guardrails are gone. So now he is being who he is. And his voters hate it because for 10 years now, they have gone around under an illusion that he doesn't mean what he says. They've been under an illusion that because he's a billionaire, he must be a genius. Because look at all the genius billionaires, like Elon Musk. Uh, they think that's one of them. So, yeah, so they've been under this illusion. If you try to argue with them, no, they can't hear it. Nothing you say. Oh, he said he's going to end America as we know it. He's going to be a dictator on day one. Oh, he didn't mean that. He doesn't mean it like that. You don't understand the guy. I like him. He's getting things done. That was always the answer. And I always thought, but someday he's going to do something that'll hurt you. But they can't see it until it happens. Well, now it's happening and they're seeing it and they're showing up at town halls and they are angry. Unlike nothing, unlike anything I've ever seen before. I've never seen voters like this. When I saw the first one in Georgia, I thought, okay, it's a one-off. It's a one-time event. And I thought, if this could happen around the country, that would be awesome. But I didn't think there was any chance it was going to happen anywhere else. And then suddenly it starts happening everywhere else. It was amazing. It's been amazing. And I started thinking, it's not going to be long. If this continues for several months, it won't be long before Republicans start to back down in their support of this president. It won't be long before these voters start to peel them away from the president. It will take time, though, because they've been enmeshed with him for 10 years now. And it's, they're addicted to it. It's their habit. It's all they know anymore. So it will take time. And the reason it'll take time is the voters will have to convince them that they really mean it. Because normally when voters get angry about something, they stay angry for a couple of months and then they forget about it. They move on to something else. So if this president, if his actions keep offending voters and hurting voters, this anger will keep up. I would guess it's March now. If this continues until September or October and gets worse, they are going to back away from this president really bad. And which, of course, is good. They're going to back away really good. But they, you might think that I'm singing pie in the sky and just wishing it would happen, but I have evidence it's going to happen. But first, before I do that, let me play a little excerpt from one town hall. This is from Texas. Now get this, the Democrats are saying, oh, it's Democrats, they're plants. George Soros is paying them. Not a chance. Look at this crowd. Tell me this is a paid crowd. This is not fake anger. This is very real anger. And this is the 3rd District of Texas, solid Republican, R plus 11, meaning Trump won by 11 points in that district. It's been a Republican since the 1960s. So for more than 50 years, it's been Republican. Everybody in this district is Republican, and they have been all their lives. And their parents were Republican, and their children are Republican. And look what happened in this district.
It is the DOGE program that's very closely akin to this is very closely akin to what Bill Clinton did between 93 Bill Clinton only plans to cut 400,000 jobs between 93 and 2000.
Now, does that look like a fake crowd to you? The poor guy, he was so flustered and flummoxed by this. He brings up Bill Clinton and talks about his jobs record. Bill Clinton was president 30 years ago. And the jobs record wasn't the issue that this crowd had. The crowd wasn't angry about the jobs. So it's pretty unbelievable. Now, as you could guess, the conservatives on Fox News, for instance, are blaming Democrats. And it doesn't matter what they say at this point because it's done. The damage is done. I think it's going to be permanent. And the fact that they're saying anything is the point. The fact they're trying to make excuses for it and to pretend it didn't happen and to gaslight us on it, that's the point. That shows their fear. That shows they know this is very, very serious. Here's Jesse Waters.
The Democrats are getting caught staging protests. Last week, the media latched onto a few town hall protests in Republican districts. Run-of-the-mill Republican voters allegedly yelling at congressmen about DOGE. But according to the Free Beacon, these weren't run-of-the-mill Republicans. They were Democrat activists organized by Soros-funded groups.
Yeah, always organized by Soros. These weren't real Republicans. That's all they got. That's literally all they got. But I'll tell you something. The real Republicans who showed up, they know they're real, and they will now see that these people are lying through their teeth. Maybe they'll get a dose of truth after this, hopefully. So now we're going to go to Congress. A woman, I'm not sure who she was, but some upper-level Republican congresswoman brought this up, had a big powwow about it, did a press conference about it. Mike Johnson showed up. What does that tell you? That tells you this has risen to the highest levels of the party. This is a 5-alarm fire. Wait, do they have 5-alarm fires or is it 4 alarm? What's the highest? Anyway, whatever the highest number is, it's that. That's how bad this is, and they know it's bad, and that's why they're doing this press conference. Now remember, don't worry about what they say, because it's not about what they say, it's about the fact that they're saying anything at all.
I want to start with last week. Videos of protesters yelling at members of Congress went viral, right?
Okay, she is upset that it went viral. That's what's alarming them. They know everybody in the country has seen it. They are alarmed that it went viral. Now listen to her excuses.
Some of the people that hijacked those town halls are happy with the bloated status quo. They want the bloated status quo to continue. They don't want to get our country back on track. Yet Democrats are soliciting sob stories from bloated bureaucrats with six-figure salaries. Give me a break. Now, it's time for us to tell our story.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Not only are these people fired from their jobs with no notice, but they're shoved out the door, and then they're throwing rocks at them after they leave, insulting them, saying they got sob stories. Guess what? When you lose your job, that is a time to sob, because that's a very sad event, and it's very traumatic to people. Look, the name of this channel is Unholy Alliances. I want to expose the unholy alliance between church and state. And I'm trying to help people in churches who say they're Christians see that this MAGA movement is completely antithetical to Christianity. It's completely opposed to Christian teachings. The way it treats people, treating people, that's not what's important. What's important is saving money. No, according to God's word, the way you treat people is what's important, not saving money. Saving money could be important too, but the way you treat people is the utmost important. What did Jesus say? What did he say the first most important commandment was? That you love God with all your heart, mind, and strength. What did he say the second most important commandment was? That you save money, that the government not spend money, that the government not help people, no, he didn't say anything about government. He said the second greatest commandment, he called it, or in today's language, I think we would say the second most important commandment, is that you love others as you love yourself. Now, would you want to get kicked out the door like that? If you had a job for a while and you love the job, would you like to get, maybe one day's notice that you're going to be fired tomorrow? You've probably made plans. Maybe you bought a house recently because the job was stable and you were doing well in it. Your boss was happy with your work. You were progressing. So you could see you have enough stability now to own a home and make payments for the next 30 years. And then suddenly the next day, you're fired. We don't need you anymore. Your performance isn't up to par. Even though their performance was up to par according to their managers, a lot of these people, most of them, it's just unconscionable the way this administration is treating people. And if you're a Christian and you're okay with that, you need to do some serious thinking, because this ain't okay. This is not okay at all. All right, now I said I would show you some evidence that this is working and that an actual congressman is being moved by it. Listen to this. Here's a congressman from Georgia. He was in a very rowdy town hall. It was the first one I saw a while back. He's being interviewed by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And listen very closely, very carefully how he answers some of these questions.
Well, of course, you were in the center of national headlines last week for holding that town hall. You were booed, you were jeered through parts of the event. There were a lot of voters who wanted answers on the DOJ-backed budget cuts. What do you want to tell them?
There's a lot of opinions out there. The fact of the matter is, the president's doing this.
Okay, did you get that? Your voters want answers. What is DOJ doing? And he says, well, there's a lot of opinions out there, but the president's doing this. You get what he's saying? He's saying, don't hold me responsible. I'm just in Congress. I'm not doing it. I'm just the congressman. The president's doing this. Don't be yelling at me. Stop yelling at me. I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just doing what the president did. Oh, and by the way, and you voted for the president, so you're kind of responsible too. Okay, this next reporter asked him a very good question. Check this out.
The Congress is not involved in that right now. But it does go to the fact that we have to explain what's happening and why it's happening. If it's good or bad is kind of inconsequential right now. The question is it going to stick? Is it the right thing to do? I guess we can discuss that. Do they have the the power to do this. I checked with leadership. I checked with the president's team. I made sure that this is legal. That's what really was important to most people, that they don't have access that they shouldn't have.
Okay, so basically he's saying, don't blame me. I checked with the president, and he said it's totally legal. Of course, the president is the best person to check with when you want to know if something's legal. This president, absolutely. Especially when it's the president's policy that you're questioning. Of course, they're going to tell you it's legal. But what he's actually doing is saying, don't blame me. I checked with the president. I'm just following orders. I'm just following what he said. They assured me it's okay. Now, here's the woman asking him a very good question.
Can you be specific as to things that have happened that you have been uncomfortable with?
Well, I think, for example, when the CDC, I've been critical about hiring too many people, right? If you want to talk about things I'm critical, I think we're just moving a little bit too fast. We should have impact studies on each department as we do it, and I'm sure they can do that. And the president is obviously very aggressive, so that's his comfort level. Most of us don't have the insight or the information to really know how much of an impact it's going to have, and so that's what I'd rather see is a little bit, just take a deep breath, move a little bit slower and a little bit more deliberately, and that's kind of generally the feeling for a lot of people.
That was a stunning answer if you listen closely. He was asked, what specifically do you have a problem with that the president's done right now? And in the past, a MAGA congressman would say, I don't have any problem. He's doing a great job. He listed 2 or 3 problems. He has a problem with what he did with the CDC, firing all these health people and upsetting that agency and basically, wrecking it. That's our major healthcare agency for the country. You think they don't do anything? You're about to find out what they do because it may take a while, but it's going to start happening. Diseases, uncontrolled, all kinds of things are going to start happening that are going to be bad and a divergence from the past. And he said he had a little problem with the speed with which this is all being done. That's a criticism of the president. Who's moving too fast? The president. Yeah, I have a little problem with the speed. Maybe it's moving a little too fast. This is a big criticism, seriously, coming from a MAGA congressman. I told you I would show you evidence that they're already starting to break with the president. Sure, that looks like a small, tiny crack, but it's a crack. He departed from the president. He said there are some things he has a little bit of an issue with. Big, big change from what would have happened a month ago. And this is just based on one town hall. If they can keep this up going through the summer and the fall, it's going to make a huge, gigantic difference. And we could see a big, big change in these Republicans and giving their full support to the president. Things could get a lot better, hopefully. Hopefully, they will start to use some of their powers to rein in the president and to stop him from doing some of the things, the worst of these things, as more and more Republicans and MAGA people see just how bad it is. Hey, I appreciate you watching. And if you found it useful, like, and if you'd like to hear more, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.